Hey, it's Leisha from mobilitymastery.com, and today I've got something really awesome for you, which is an upgraded forearm extensor fascia release technique using only your body, although you will actually need like a chair or some other surface to do the work on, but you don't need a foam roller or a lacrosse ball or anything like that. And this is an upgrade of a technique I put out a few years ago on YouTube in a video that was primarily targeting people with carpal tunnel, where I showed a forearm flexor fascia release technique and then a forearm extensor technique together in one video. This video is only about the extensors because I'm going to show you a special upgrade of this where we're actually going to focus on shearing those fascial fibers apart, because if you've been with me any length of time, then you know how important that is for activating fasciocytes, increasing hyaluronic acid, getting that blood flow and space back into the fascial system, and your results are going to be a lot faster. So reasons you might want to use this extensor technique would be carpal tunnel for sure, anything in the like forearm tightness or forearm pain, elbow tendonitis, wrist issues that maybe don't have the label carpal tunnel, definitely any thumb issues because we're working on this thumb line. So those are all really, kind of obvious ones that you would use this for, but I have seen this particular way of releasing the extensor fascia do some crazy things, like people with shoulder issues. It takes care of it by a few points if they're in pain. People with range of motion in their neck report after just doing this one in office with me, so not this exact version, but my kinetics version of it where I'm stepping on somebody, but this mimics it really well. They report increased range of motion in their neck or a decrease in pain in their neck. So it can definitely do some interesting things to the entire upper body. So what we're targeting here is this line of fascia where the extensors kind of meet the flexors. So this inside part of your forearm here is your flexor muscle area. The outside, or this part that we're working on, is the extensors, but you have this bone in your forearm called the radius. So right now, this is my ulna, this is my radius, they're parallel each other, but when I do that, I've now crossed the radius over the ulna, right, or vice versa. They're now crossed. So these tissues can get really congested where that kind of cross happens. And then if it starts to like pull, if those extensors are getting pulled towards your flexors and stuck there, it can definitely cause a lot of issues upstream in addition to downstream. But I would say if they're getting really pulled towards the flexors, it's probably going to have an even bigger impact upstream. So I'm talking elbows, I'm talking, any pain in here along your arm, shoulder issues, neck issues, mid-back even, you never know. I'm not saying this is a magic bullet, one and done technique for those issues. It's not. But it may be the missing link for you, especially if you've been trying a lot of my other techniques. So this would be one to use in conjunction with everything else. And as always, you want to map your fascia. You want to find the root cause ideally. You want to find out what habits you're doing in life that are causing you to get so wound up here. Of course, it's not this, right? So that's the number one cause, of course, in today's society for people getting tight here. And if you can't help but do that, if it's your job, or you don't want to give up your tech, no biggie. You just need to release your fascia, to take care of the stress you're putting on your body to do that. So you're going to need some kind of surface to work on, either a chair or a bench or a desk. I have chosen to do this on my wooden blocks that I'm usually stepping on people with because I didn't want a chair or anything else to get in the way of you seeing what I'm doing. So just know that as long as you have a flat surface with a little bit of cushion, you're good to go. So like I said, it could be a chair, but make sure if it is a chair, if it's wood, that you're putting something on it, a sweatshirt, a camp pad cut up, something to give it a little cushion, or use a cushioned chair. You just don't want it to be too cushioned because you don't want to like sink into it. So a couch probably is not a great idea to do this on. A desk works pretty well. For the extensors, I don't know that you have to have a lot of cushion. Like if I were in a bind and all I had was this wood, I would do it. So I would just hang out here, right? But this is more comfortable. So I want to show you a couple things here, and hopefully you can see this on camera. The important thing is going to be placement of your elbow on that extensor and then movement. And because you are using another part of your body and you are an intelligent tool rather than an inanimate object like a foam roller or a lacrosse ball or something like that, or I've seen some of those like machines or tools out there, right? You like insert your arm in something that compresses and then you're like doing movements like that. Those might work okay for this, but that machine doesn't have the intelligence that you have to maneuver around the adhesion or ropey area that is in your extensor. So I'm just kneeling, and again, depending on the surface you're using, you might be standing, you might be squatting, but you want your hand, so I'm gonna be working on my left arm, you want your hand hanging down. Off the surface. So, and then your forearm on the surface, and you want to go palm down to start ideally. And then you're going to use your other elbow as your tool. So you can use the flat part of this ulna. You could use your elbow, like the exact pointy part of your elbow. That's going to be a little harder. And then I just want you to know, because your anatomy is different than my anatomy, it might look a little different to you than it's going to look for me. But make sure you get close to your elbow on the side that you're releasing. That's usually where the good stuff is. So right now I've just anchored in on like a really good spot on my left extensors here. So I'm going to slowly rotate this left arm. And so, yep, there we go. And then back, boom. So that was a clunk. Again, I don't know how visible it is on camera, but I'm giving myself some resistance here, boom. So you could change the angle of this arm and you're gonna feel a difference in your left arm. So wherever you feel the most sensation, hang out there. And then with your tool, and then you're moving the other one under it, clunk. So you want to hunt out those adhesions. Then you want to find adjacent spots, clunk, clunk. So we're focusing on the adhesion here. So you'll notice I'm kind of shifting the angle. I'm kind of hunting right now, but I'm also getting it pretty good. Clunk, clunk. So I didn't move, but you can see, I want you to see where my elbow is in relation to my arm here. Boom. Now I could try here. You could try getting all the way over into this stuff if you want, but now we're kind of getting away from this line. So you can see it's really red where I just worked. And then I could certainly go down. And again, like I'm using a lot of the pointy part of my elbow right now, which you can. I want to show you that. But then you could also end up on this part where it's a more broad tool, and it's going to grab more of your tissue, but in a less intense way. So again, this is going to be more intense. Definitely violent on me, clunk, clunk. I don't know if I move here, if you can see this any differently as far as like the movement I'm doing in the clunk. Where to go? There it is. There's a lot to work with on this left one. Boom. So what I want you to be careful of here is jamming this your tool, your other arm, whether it's your right or left, depending on what arm you're working on, you don't want to like jam it in there and then rotate this under a lot of compression and pin to the, you don't want to pin it to your, desk or chair or whatever you're working on. You just want to pin it to the bone. So I'm hanging out on top of the bone. I'm not letting that radius kind of get away from me or get kind of like trapped. So I have full free range of motion right now. So what I most want you to take away from this video, again, like I said, we're focusing on the shearing on this one. The other one, if you want to stretch too here, you can. It would be like using hand movements here, up, down, fist circles. So all that's great, and you can add that if you want, but I'm going to come back here. But what I really want you to get out of this one is just how exact you can be using your elbow around your other elbow. Like I can get into the nooks and crannies here of, oh wow, like that's intense. So like I'm right in the crease there, like almost. I'm right there. So could I get even closer? Let's see. Yep. Oh, yeah. So you want to be careful here not to jam your elbow into like that part of your arm, but with some curiosity and commitment to hunting out your terrain here, this is an amazing tool for this. So there's so much you can do here. Just go slowly with your hunting, try different angles, try different parts of your elbow, right? The flat part, the pointy part, try angling it slightly differently. Try, if you are someone who really has this meat of your extensors stuck to your flexors, which I've seen in a lot of like rock climbers, bodybuilders, and to be honest, even engineers or people who are like, maybe they do CrossFit and they're on the computer all the time. Their forearms are like literally all the way over here. So if you're really trying to get into this stuff, you can get all the way over there. Like it's hard for me to show you on me because I don't have that issue. I have other issues and I have plenty to work on in this extensor area. But that's essentially it. I just want to encourage you to move slowly and try this with a lot of caution at first because I know what I'm doing and I immediately showed you how to do it well. But I want you to make sure you're pinning only to the bone, not all the way through, that you're being safe, that you're not jamming your tool, the elbow right into any like nervy parts. If you ever get nerve pain when you are doing this, that would be like sharpshooting electrical pain. You want to come off. It's going to be pretty rare here, but I just feel like I have to say that because we're getting near the elbow. We are going kind of like in this inner line towards the flexors. So this is such a good technique to master. I highly encourage you to master it and include it in kind of like your basic routine, especially if you're on the computer all the time, if you're on your phone, or if you have any of the pain issues I just mentioned for elbows, wrists, shoulders, stuff like that. So there you go. That is my upgraded forearm extensor technique for you. Please leave a comment for me below this video letting me know your experience if you actually tried it out, because every time you share your stories, you inspire someone else and you inspire me to keep going because I love hearing from you. You're the reason I'm here on YouTube. If you're brand new to fascia release or maybe new to my channel, make sure to grab my beginner's guide to fascia release, which I have linked up for you below this video. It's going to include head to toe techniques that are the basic ones I think everybody should master, including it's a free PDF guide that will include a bullet point list of how to do fascia release as a beginner, how to do it effectively, how to problem solve, and then we have links to head to toe techniques that are those basic techniques that I think everybody should master. So go ahead and grab that by clicking below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.